Chapter 257. Gathering again. After they left, the city of heaven, which had no invincible level powerhouses in its center, was suddenly plunged into a situation of group hegemony, with some powerful quasi-invincible powerhouses dominating one side and flaunting their power. Among them, the Black Demon King and the 100 Changes King, who had just arrived in the City of Heavens not long ago, had also become the beneficiaries of this hegemony, and the two of them had joined forces and swept away all the quasi-invincible powerhouses under the invincible level, becoming the two overlords in the City of Heavens. These two were both old acquaintances of Kang Tian. They were not shocked to learn that Kang Tian had become the third supreme being of the spirit sealing space. They were already accustomed to it. That violet-robed young man swept away everything, wherever he went with a domineering aura. It would be strange for such a strong person but to become a supreme being. Heavenly City Battlefield, Stone Dragon Mountain. Since that day, after repelling Demon Heaven and saving the third prince of the dragon, Kang Tian and Little Gold had followed the third prince of the dragon to his residence, the Stone Dragon Mountain. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. During this period of time, the third prince of the dragon and Little Gold were both in seclusion to recover from their injuries. They had been heavily injured in the battle with Demon Heaven and had already injured their origin, taking a long time to fully recover. Kang Tian was likewise in seclusion after seeing the battle between the third prince of the dragon and the Devil Sky. He felt an evenly matched opponent, and there was a pressure in his heart that forced him to quickly raise his cultivation. Nowadays, his cultivation had reached a bottleneck. The 9 revolutions Zhuanggong had long since reached the peak realm of the third layer. Only by entering the fourth layer would his fleshly body be able to go even further, and his strength would only increase. However, the last step was very difficult. He was always elusive, like there was a wall in front of him, blocking his senses. Kang Tian was very calm in his heart. His master, Elder Law Enforcement, had once told him that the 9 revolutions Zhuanggong had 3 major hurdles that he experienced once every 3 layers, and now he was facing the first of these major hurdles. Breaking through to the 4th layer from the 3rd layer did not only require strong enlightenment, it also required chance and something beyond words. Apart from second senior brother, back then, both elder senior brother and third senior brother also cultivated in the spirit sealing space 4 decades before finally breaking through to the 4th layer of the 9-turn Zhuanggong. Could it be that I have to cultivate for such a long time as well? Kang Tian pondered in his heart. Second senior brother Niu Ren was born with divine strength, and among the 3 senior brothers, he had the highest talent in cultivating the 9 revolutions Zhuanggong. And back then, he had only cultivated in the spirit sealing space for 7 years before he managed to break through to the 4th layer. The eldest brother and the third brother were relatively worse. The eldest brother's physique was not suitable for cultivating the 9 revolutions Zhuanggong. Back then, he had stayed in the spirit sealing space for 30 years before he finally broke through the 4th layer. Third senior brother was a bit better, but it also took 15 years. Kang Tian counted the time he had come to the spirit sealing space. It had been almost 3 years, and he was able to reach the current level in just 3 years. It had to be said that his Kang Tian hegemony blood played a big role. This special bloodline was inherently suitable for cultivating a body refining technique like the 9 revolutions Zhuanggong. But if he wanted to break through the 4th layer of the 9 revolutions Zhuanggong, Kang Tian felt that he was still a lot short of what he needed, and he still needed a little more time for physical comprehension. Boom! Suddenly, an explosive sound came from underneath Stone Dragon Mountain, instantly waking up Kang Tian, who was in seclusion, and interrupting his contemplation. Amitabha Buddha, the young monk is a friend of your third prince of the dragon. Aren't you afraid that the third prince of the dragon will blame you for stopping the young monk? A familiar voice came out, and Kang Tian, who had stepped out from his place of seclusion, instantly revealed a smile. At the bottom of Stone Dragon Mountain, 3 peerless powerhouses were besieging a bald monk. Surrounded by hundreds of quasi-peerless and emperor-level powerhouses staring in anticipation. They were all Third Prince Dragon's subordinates, or rather trialists, who looked up to Third Prince Dragon's Crown Prince, and they willingly followed him. The bald monk was extremely powerful, and he was surprisingly able to navigate through the siege of the 3 invincible powerhouses. Boundless Buddhist light erupted from him, sweeping through this space. And the 3 peerless powerhouses that surrounded him were caught up in it, unable to extricate themselves. Who is this person? It's actually so powerful that even the 3 lords are no match for him. Although we don't know who he is, we can be sure that he is definitely not a friend of the Crown Prince. Otherwise, how could we not know that the Crown Prince has such a powerful friend? HMPH, I've already sent someone to report to Lord Kangchon. This bald donkey won't be able to be arrogant for long. The surrounding quasi-invincible and imperial level powerhouses who were watching the battle were talking. Even though the bald monk repeatedly said that he was a friend of the Third Prince of the Dragon and had struck out with mercy, the crowd didn't believe him and resolutely refused to allow him to go up the mountain. Such a situation finally angered this bald monk, who roared out, his body surrounded by 10,000 feet of Buddhist light, illuminating the entire heaven and earth. Truly having eyes that don't recognize the Buddha. If the Buddha doesn't give you guys a good show today, it won't be called Brahma Heart. The bald monk roared, Vanshin to be precise. Ever since he learnt of Kangchon and Xiaojin's news, he had rushed all the way here. But he didn't want to be stopped by the Third Prince of Dragon's men. Of course, one couldn't blame these people. After all, now that the Third Prince of the Dragon and Little Gold were in seclusion, they naturally had to do their duty and didn't dare to let some unfamiliar people up the mountain, which was completely justifiable. Unfortunately, the misunderstanding between the 2 sides arose in this way, and after Brahma Heart became annoyed, he finally exploded his full strength, displaying his 8-armed Vajra combat condition, sweeping across the 4 directions and suppressing those 3 invincible powerhouses that had besieged him with their absolute peak battle power. When Kangchon arrived here, he was just in time to see the 3 invincible powerhouses being blown away by Brahma Heart with a single palm strike, blood spurting wildly. Dare to block Master Buddha. See, this is what happens. Brahma Heart snorted coldly. Those who were watching the battle around them were stunned. They didn't expect Brahma Heart to be so powerful. 3 invincible powerhouses joining forces, but they were defeated so quickly. Has Lord Kangchon not come yet? This person's strength is no less than Lord Xiaojin. Only Lord Kangchon can suppress him. The group of people were very flustered. Vanshin was simply too strong. However, they were very loyal and desperately tried to block Brahma's path, not allowing him to go up the mountain. The 3 invincible powerhouses, who had been seriously injured, also rushed in once again, desperately trying to fend them off. Get out of the way. The Buddha is really angry. Get out of my way. Seeing this, Brahma Heart roared, his body glowing with light as a great Buddha slowly rose up, suppressing the 4 directions. Everyone flew out backwards, their faces pale, too strong, simply unstoppable. Those 3 invincible powerhouses were also horrified, feeling that this person's strength was completely no less than that of Xiaojin. Apart from the 3 supreme beings of the spirit sealing space, no one would be able to suppress him. Damnable. It seems that the lessons given to you guys aren't enough. Heavenly Buddha Palm. Brahma Heart's eyes blazed, and when he saw that the crowd was still desperately trying to stop him, he was instantly annoyed and displayed his strongest attack, the Heavenly Buddha Palm. Of course, he didn't go crazy and withdrew 70% of his power at the last moment. Otherwise, at least a large portion of these people present would have died, only to see a golden palm print in the sky slapping down, like a golden mountain suppressing and coming. The fierce aura filled with terrifying pressure The boundless Buddha light swept through the entire space. Not good. Everyone quickly joined hands. When the crowd sensed the might of the heavenly Buddha palm, they were all startled and hurriedly struck out their strongest divine abilities to jointly resist. Stop! Kangchon finally couldn't stand it anymore, only to hear him shouting. His body came out like a fierce tiger descending from the mountain, the wind whistling, and a fist blasted out. The atmosphere was majestic and unrivaled in the world. The huge golden palm prince came to suppress, was shattered by this fist, and turned into countless Buddha light and dissipated in the air. The crowd all turned pale and retreated, their hearts palpitating as they escaped death. Good strength. Who is the visitor? Quickly give the Buddha's name. Ah, Tao brother. So it's you are. No wonder the little monk felt a wind of dominance blowing and his body involuntarily trembled. Dare I say it's the arrival of a generation of supreme beings. Brahma's heart was shocked when he saw his heavenly Buddha palm being broken. But when he saw that the visitor was Kangchon, he immediately came over with a playful smile. This scene was seen by those surrounding Dragon Third Prince's men. All of them immediately stared at each other with wide eyes. And in their hearts, they regretted the occasion. Dare I say that the great water has washed away the Dragon King's temple. Their own people beat up their own people. And this time, they received a beating for nothing. Especially those three invincible powerhouses. They were beaten up by Vanshin. Originally still want to let Kangchon to find revenge for them. Now it seems that Vanshin does not look for their trouble is already good. Stop, stop, stop. How did you find this place? Kangchon instantly felt a wave of goosebumps rising and hurriedly interrupted Brahmashin, inquiring. Brahma heart patted the dust on his body and in passing, waved his hand with the grey and snotty crowd beside him. Before answering Kangchon's question, your old man is now famous in the spirit sealing space, and no one knows about the great name of the Third Supreme, so wanting to inquire about your whereabouts isn't a piece of cake. Kangchon greeted the three nose-diving invincible powerhouses not far away, and then brought Brahma heart up the mountain, the two of them talking all the way, sharing each other's experiences. A crowd of people looked at their backs. All of them were depressed, especially the three-nosed and swollen invincible powerhouses. They wondered when so many powerhouses had appeared in the spirit sealing space, and all of them were ones he didn't recognize. Flowers bloomed at both ends, each with their own branch. While Kangchon and Brahmashin were meeting, somewhere on the battlefield of Heavenly City, the 7 heroes of Heavenly City also rendezvoused together. Ha ha ha. I didn't think that the 7 of us would have the chance to meet together at the Heavenly City battlefield. It's some kind of fate. Ha ha. We have known each other for so many years. It is indeed considered fate. In front of the 7 males of Heavenly City at the moment was a sea of fire. Boundless waves of fire filled the entire space. All of it was a world of flames. Windless and Longkongji had deep faces as they stared at the sea of fire in front of them in silence. Windless, Changkongji, are you guys really ready to leave the spirit sealing space? The other 5 of the 7 heroes of Celestial City asked in a deep voice, just a short while ago. Windless and Changkongji had already decided to leave the spirit sealing space. My potential has been exhausted. Staying in the spirit sealing space will only be a waste of time. The body refining lineage, if not the only path to cultivation, I'm going to go out and find a path that suits me. Changkongji's eyes were full of confidence, although he had lost in the spirit sealing space. But he was not allowed to use his spiritual power within the spirit sealing space. After leaving the spirit sealing space, he believed that with his talent, he would definitely not lose to anyone. Changkongji is right. Breaking through the invincible realm within the spirit sealing space is a task sent to us by the division. We have already completed it. It's time to leave. After all, the Yuaning stage, the out-of-body stage, and the divine separation stage, when we geniuses will truly battle it out. Windless smiled faintly. The other 5 were silent at his words. Then they glanced at each other and said at the same time, "Since that's the case, then the 7 of us will break into this endless sea of fire together." Good. Leaving the spirit sealing space is the time for the 7 of us to part ways. This is the last time we will join forces in the spirit sealing space. Whether we can meet again in the future will depend on fate. Windlass nodded his head. The 7 of them belonged to different sects. Some were from the righteous path, some were from the devil path, and some were even disciples of some hidden masters, or from overseas hidden sects. It could be said that the trialists of the spirit sealing space were all geniuses from various aspects, and they rarely had the chance to meet again after they went out, because the flood continent was too big. Unless they waited for them to become powerhouses at the divine separation stage or the conjunction stage, then they would have the chance to meet up. It was just that by that time, I'm afraid that several hundred years, or even thousands of years, would have passed. Let's go. The endless sea of fire. It's boundless and no one knows where it ends, so we'd better hurry up earlier. After Long Kong Ji finished speaking, he was the first to leap into the sea of fire.